Are you a parent? Would you like to make sure your children get the best support that they could ever imagine? Would you like to help your children be all that they can be with confidence, learning skills to cooperate, finding within themselves self-motivation, finding within themselves the ability to delay gratification, learning how to share, most importantly, making the whole childhood experience a positive experience, which creates a foundation where they know how to be happy in life as well as be responsible in life? This is the focus that I put into a parenting book. And I call this parenting book, could also be called Positive Parenting, and there's a lot of really good books out there called Positive Parenting. There's also some really good TV shows. I like Super Nanny. I think it's a really good show. It's very harmonious with this book, which I wrote on parenting, which is called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and Children Are From Heaven. Because when you learn the skills that I teach in this book, your children are heavenly. And when you don't know what to do with your children, they come from somewhere else. And this is all within the parent's ability to bring out the best of their children. And most parents do not have a clue sometimes what to do. Mothers are at the wit's end. I don't know how to control my children. I can't get them to cooperate. They yell and scream, which is the worst communication skill. They threaten their children, which is another worst communication skill. Or they depend upon their spouse, the man in their life, to sort of discipline the kids. These are the old antiquated techniques that in a time in the past may have worked. But for many parents, what happens is we grew up, and now we live in kind of this age of psychology, and we can understand some of the wounds that happen in childhood. And we often go, I know what I don't want to do for my children, but we don't know what we can do. See, I know I don't want to do this. Maybe my parents did this, my parents did this. I don't want to do that, but I don't know what is the replacement. So what we have today is two different types of parenting styles. One is more the traditional, which is you discipline your children, you punish your children, you correct your children, you say whatever you think and how you feel to your children, and your size and your voice intimidates your children into sometimes doing what you want. Today, when you do that, you get a lot of rebellion. Children are different today. And the same thing is, why are they different today? Are you going to take a government that tells you what to do? Are you going to take a government that's a dictatorship? Do you know for thousands of years on this planet, we had kings and queens who were dictators who told people what to do, and they followed, and occasionally there'd be revolutions. Now we live in a democracy where people have a voice. People want to participate. People want more autonomy. They want to be in charge of their life. They're not just going to surrender to authority figures. So when we as adults are that way, as parents, we become more that way. Our children come into that climate, and they're not going to be as willing to surrender to just this sort of yell at them, intimidate them, punish them, and so forth. They respond a bit, but then they rebel against it. So we need new parenting skills. So a reaction to we'll call the authoritative style of parenting, we have a reaction to that is permissive parenting. And permissive parenting has even a new set of problems that comes with it. So what I've done, and sort of my Mars-Venus style, is found a balance of those two things, how to bring authority into it as well as support. Because children today need more support, but they also need authority. And you're the parent, you have to be the parent, you're the captain of the ship, you're the director of their life. They have to fall in line with you, but at the same time, they want to feel that they're being heard more. They want to feel that they're being supported more, and they rebel when they're not. Children are more conscious than we were when we were growing up, and we were way more conscious than our parents were. So we're more sophisticated. So in this book, I basically explore, I say, look, if you're driving the car and you let go of the steering wheel and that car crashes, whose fault is it? It's yours. You let go of the steering wheel. Parents, you hold the steering wheel for those kids until they leave your home. Gradually, you're letting go more and more as they're getting older and older. And there's a whole process that I explore in here, all the way from the first year to 18 years old, actually to 28 years old. I talk about the relationship of the parent to the child and how it changes. And as you go through those stages in your parenting approach, you'll see that your child has different needs. And I talk about those needs and how they unfold. It's a big book. It's 350 pages, a little intimidating for mothers who have no time to read. The great news is this is one of those books you can pick it up and just read a couple of pages, and it will bring you back to, yes, I know what I can do. Because we often get in that place of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed by this. And then what happens is when you don't know what to do, then your conditioning comes into play. And you start responding the way your parents did, and which often is not as effective, and particularly it's not as effective today in this world. So I'm going to go through a few of the chapter headings so you get a sense of what's in this book. Children are from heaven. Every child has his or her own unique problems. You cannot eliminate your child's challenges. What you can do is support them in doing the best they can to overcome their challenges, because with every challenge comes a tremendous gift. You know, the story from the old days is the great orator who stuttered, but then he practiced speaking with rocks in his mouth, and he learned to be a great orator with incredible, impeccable clarity and so forth, and he didn't stutter. But he had to overcome that. We all overcome things. Even my own gift, which is being able to help people in relationships. I was so challenged in relationships, I didn't even want to be in relationships in my 20s, and I became a celibate monk. I lived as a monk, and I was a Hindu monk, actually, and then, you know, came back here and started to have a life with a family and so forth, and this was my past. I overcame that challenge, and having to overcome that challenge, I understood all the intricacies. So whatever your child's challenges are, they often provide a gift later on. What we can do as parents is help them to overcome that. You know, I grew up in a family of 6 boys and 1 girl, and you can talk to my mother, and she'll say every one of my children came from me, came from her, but they all had their own challenges, which were very unique. Without a doubt, you cannot prevent your child's challenges. You can't protect them completely from them, but you can help them to deal with them effectively. I talk about the 5 messages of positive parenting that are woven throughout this whole book. Giving your child permission and support to be authentic, to be who they are, and to see all the ways that we don't give that message so their potential can come forward. Also to give them permission to be motivated, self-motivated by knowing what they want. Often we push down our child's wants and wishes because they're inappropriate. How to support that at the same time teach your child appropriateness. How we unknowingly suppress our children's natural response to life, which is the feeling part of us, that actually brings forth our conscience, and our ability and willingness to do good gets suppressed when we don't create room for our children's negative emotions, and how to deal with those tantrums without suppressing them, but not letting your child control you or everybody else with their tantrums. So we start learning how to make it safe for feelings to come up, but not give the child the power to control others by getting upset and throwing tantrums and so forth. How do you prevent that? And so we talk all about that. So these are some of the messages. Another one important message is it's okay to say no. You can resist, you can not like, but remember, I'm the boss. And the parent always has the final say. And children learn that. And you learn all kinds of 5 new skills, 5 main skills that I go into the book to teach each of those messages to primarily build confidence in your children, meet their needs, motivate them, and most importantly, create cooperation. So your children are cooperating with you, not fighting you. Women learn so many new parenting techniques. Fathers learn new parenting techniques to understand their children. There is a whole section here on boys and girls are different. How fathers unknowingly sabotage their relationships with their daughters, how mothers unknowingly sabotage their relationship with their sons, building walls of resistance without understanding how to motivate little boys. You end up creating more resistance from them and their unwillingness to listen, and a repulsiveness or repellent to feelings, to women's feelings, not using your emotions to manipulate little boys. It just doesn't work. And I point out all kinds of mistakes that mothers make, fathers make, that you're not even aware of. You know, the most obvious is something like punishment. You know, one child is hitting the other one. You say, you're hitting your child saying, don't hit your brother. Or you're yelling at child, stop yelling, and you're yelling at them. Children learn by duplicating their parents. We have to learn to model for our children where we want them to go. Children have a huge force that says, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. So often when you say, where did you learn that? You are where they learned it from. This book can teach you new skills for parenting your children. Not that you have to read the whole thing. I want to emphasize that again and again. But you just open it up to a few pages and you'll glean insight. And quite often parents tell me just what I needed to hear is right on that page, because it all resonates with our experience of what we're all going through. We have new skills for improving communication with our children, new skills to minimize resistance with our children, new skills to increase motivation, new skills for asserting leadership. That means your children are following you and not themselves. New skills for maintaining control. At those times your children are resistant. What do? Do you have to resort to using violence and threats and shame and guilt? No parent really wants to do that, but they don't know what else to do. These are new skills that you can apply. Giving positive messages. It's okay to be different, unique. That's where all talent comes forth. It's okay to make mistakes. If it's not okay to make mistakes, children stop talking with their parents. And that children have to learn how to forgive. And the way they learn to forgive first is learning to forgive you. It's automatic. If you learn how to apologize for mistakes, children learn to forgive. Then they eventually learn to forgive themselves. And then they have unlimited creative potential as they grow up, because they don't expect themselves to be perfect all the time. So much is in here that has positive consequence for your children later in life. And so I didn't write this book until I had raised my children and saw how wonderfully they turned out. So this is definitely a program that works. I've seen it work, and I know it can work for you. And the parents that read this book thank me so much because they, wow, this helped me understand my son. This helped me understand my daughter and the challenges that they're going through and how I can provide the support that I want to provide but just didn't know how. So this is called Children from Heaven.